Good morning. I'm Pete Najarian. This is the Take for Market Rebellion on this Friday morning after we've had an unbelievable Friday to Friday. Last Friday, we were out in Las Vegas having a great time. Markets were absolutely flying all over the place, and they have this entire week. So it's been great. It's been fatiguing. It's been very, very news-oriented moves. Matter of fact, yesterday we had a monstrous move in the markets. We all know that. We take a look back, and why was that? Well, because the government's not going to default, and people got pretty excited about that, and that sort of pushed things around for sure. Early on, we were up as much as over 500 points on the Dow. Now, we did fade as we got into the later part of the afternoon, started to move down a little bit, still held on to finish up about 335, 337 points on the Dow. Now, NASDAQ, a similar story. It was absolutely exploding to the upside early as well. It was up over 200 points, 250 points, and then it started to fade. And as it pulled back, it still held on to some very nice gains, but up about 150 points. Now, you look over at the 10-year, not a whole lot of activity, 156, 157. That's kind of where it's been sort of staying in that very, very tight area since it's made this really, after that push up, that pullback, and now it's been hanging right around this level. Although today, a little bit different story, starting to see a little bit more movement. You look over at crude, and the price of crude yesterday just bumping up against that 79 level and getting through a little bit and just holding somewhere near 79. Now, the volatility index, we finally did give back those 20s. We got into the 19s. We closed underneath 20 at about 19 and a half. So when I look at the volumes yesterday on top of that, 38 million, not so bad. That's something that we were almost expecting. Matter of fact, the previous day with some of the lower volumes, that was a little bit of a surprise given the kind of movement that we have had in a lot of these individual days. We've had some monstrous volume days, but a couple of days ago, a little bit disappointing. Yesterday, not disappointing at all. So what was really working for us yesterday? Consumer discretionary, absolutely on fire, up about 1.5%. Materials all day long were a leadership role. They were up nearly 1.5%. Technology was up about 1%. Energy did fade a little bit, but still in positive along with some of the financials. Semiconductors in that subset of sectors, the semiconductors, that was really, really interesting because they had another really nice day, up about 1.25%. But AMD, NVIDIA, Marvell, now that's a name that we talked about for a very long period of time, all the acquisitions to create the company that they are. And that stock yesterday hit new highs over 67 bucks. Didn't close there, but it did hit up to these new highs yesterday. So a really nice run there. Take a look at Freeport-McMoRan. We talk about materials. That's almost always going to be my go-to when we're looking at materials and talking about different things. Copper is the answer when you're looking ahead and you're looking for what's going on in the EV space. That's my opinion. A lot of people look at it a lot of different ways. I look for copper. Everybody else looking for other things inside the batteries. I'm looking for copper because it takes so much more copper in these electronic vehicles and batteries and all of the rest of it. Anyway, Ford and GM had a big, nice surprise yesterday as well. They were up significantly. These are names that don't normally move like this, but 4.5%, 5.5%, really a nice solid move to the upside. We've seen some option activity in both those names in recent weeks, and that's something that we're starting to see a nice little move to the upside. And GM, again, I believe I saw a little bit of option activity in there again. Chinese names were strong yesterday. NetEase, PDD, the usual suspects. You got Baidu, you got JD. They were actually helping to lead the NASDAQ yesterday, with cruise ships and airlines kind of struggling a little bit yesterday as the rest of the markets were actually holding on to some really nice gains. Now, we come into today, we get these job numbers. Boy, they don't look too good. Looking for something closer to maybe 500,000, and actually it's under 200,000. That's a big difference, but a lot of different reasons potentially why. Delta variant, maybe some of that being a bit of an issue, tight labor markets, all of those kinds of things are all the excuses that we hear. But because of that, the markets actually looked really, really flat. Not a whole lot of volatility, no velocity at all to these moves this morning. As a matter of fact, we started off the day, the NASDAQ was up about 80 points. That actually was up. But since that point in the pre-market, it's been up or down, call it 10 or 15 points. It's been in a very tight range. On the Dow, we've moved from flat to down a little bit more, down maybe 70 points to actually, last I looked, we were trading very, very close to flat. So very tight range for both the Dow and the NASDAQ, and maybe going into the weekend, maybe that's considered a good thing. Now, what are we doing? We're looking ahead. Markets are always looking ahead. Earnings season's about to kick off. So we've already digested the news from yesterday, news from today, and now moving on, looking ahead like the market always does, and we're looking towards earnings season. Now, we're looking at the volatility index. We actually were in the 18s. We're somewhere 18, 19 right now. Low 19s, upper 18s in terms of volatility. And what really stood out today, how about crude hitting 80? Now, the other day, I think I was on with Melissa Lee and the gang on the Fast Money. And when I said, I think that we have a shot to see oil see 100 before the end of the year, I think they were all looking at me with a different kind of a look. I think that's getting a little bit closer each and every day. We just see this move up. Now, it doesn't mean there's not going to be pullbacks, because I think there will be. And it's not an absolute, but it just seems like that has been the pattern now for more than 11 months, and it just continues. So we'll see if that continues as we get through the rest of the year. But I will tell you this, the amount of unusual option activity that we have seen in the energy space certainly does signal that folks are looking not only ahead, but looking for a little bit more of a boost even to the upside. Gold and silver were both higher today. Last I looked at the 10-year, was trading right around 157, but on a quick peek, I saw it at 1.6. So somewhere in that. And now if we get too much of a move too fast, that is something in the past that has spooked the markets just a little bit. Energy has been leading up about 2%. Materials in positive territory. Technology sort of struggling along a little bit. Financials actually with a nice little bit of a move to the upside. Looking at that 10-year, last I looked, it was up about 0.6%. Chinese names, again, strong. Beta energy names, not just strong, absolutely explosive moves to the upside. Look at APA, look at Marathon, look at Occidental, take a look at EOG, Devon, all of those having a really, really nice day once again. I got two unusuals and I'm out of here, and then I'm doing the noon show as well as the 5 p.m. show Eastern time later on with Fast Money. So got a busy day in front of me, so I'm going to give you two real quick unusuals. Under Armour. Now, this is a name that just keeps hitting and hitting and hitting and hitting, and it's made nice moves to the upside that have given opportunities. Discipline does really matter, and we've seen that time and time again. So stock was trading right around 2070 this morning. We had a buyer of 3,000 of the October 20.5 calls. Regular expiring October 20.5 calls. They were going for about 60 cents. They also sold downside puts, so this is a very bullish trade. They're selling downside, saying, hey, if the stock starts to flip around and drop, we're willing to own it. But we actually are buying calls to the upside, looking for even more upside. Very, very bullish trade. We'll see how that plans out. KWeb. Now, this is another one of these Chinese internet ETF type things. We see a lot of activity. I wanted to point out, we've seen some very large activity yesterday in the FXI. We've seen a little bit more coming into some of the Chinese names as well, like Ababa, where we've seen some unusual option activity. So what that all tells me is I'm just giving you a little bit of a sense of what's going on in terms of KWeb, and giving you a sense that FXI, there seems to be building a little bit of a trend. Maybe these Chinese names got a little bit more fuel left. So it's trading right around 49.60 at a buyer of 8,000. They didn't go out a week. These guys actually went out to January, the buyers of the 52 calls in KWeb. So yesterday of FXI, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they were going out in time a little bit further, not January, but maybe it was December. I can't recall off the top of my head, but there was huge call buying there. It was in the form of a spread. And now we're seeing this KWeb, just sort of one after the other, a little bit like what we've seen in energy, like I said, for the last 11 months or so. Folks, have a great day of trading. Knowledge is king. Get your knowledge about the options world, the derivatives world. It's the greatest place. We absolutely love it. You've got a lot more. And I'll give you one great example. A guy hit me up yesterday and he said, hey, Pete, I decided rather than stock, I was going to buy the options you guys were talking about, some options. They went from 10 cents to whatever. He said it was a 2,000 something percent gain. Options give you that ability to have some incredible gains sometimes, where if the stock makes a 10 or 15% move, which is phenomenal, it's amazing what options can do. But you've got to have the knowledge and understanding of the options themselves, all the Greeks and all that. That's what the guys here at Market Rebellion on the educational side, that's what they do, show you how that all works. Folks, have a great day of trading. I look forward to seeing you over the weekend, and you'll see me at noon and 5 today. See ya.